But Arizona beat number 10 Utah 23-10. Dalton, I had Utah fans in the comments of that preview calling me every single word they could think of, saying ignorant, delusional, troll, clickbait. You're dopes. Not dope, you're dopes. And one of the comments,
I got roped into that.
You got roped into it. You picked Utah.
I picked Utah and got roped into it with you.
This guy too.
Oh my God.
And one of them that really I hated on. Someone said so obvious he's never played a down of football in his life. I literally scored a touchdown in flag football when I was 6 years old. So I don't know if they're studying the tape on Max Chadwick.
It counts for something. Do you have it on video though?
I gotta get the video.
Is there tape?
I might have to get the video.
Okay.
I might be lying.
You have the tape?
I might be lying about saying I scored a touchdown. I actually played center in flag football, which in flag football you don't even block. So
can't you throw to the center?
I didn't run routes. I don't know.
They didn't.
My coach did not let me run routes. So I did. Yeah. But anyways, at least that I know I wasn't a great football player. But I nailed this. Arizona beating Utah 23-10 in this one. Dawn, let's go over the highest graded players from this game. Keon Burnett. We're getting to him later. 89.6 grade. He was the highest grade player for Arizona. Trey Smith at a 77.3. Takario Davis, bounce back game, 71.6. He was fantastic in this one. Gunnar Maldonado, 70.7. Genesis Smith at a 68.8. And Noah Fafita at a 79.7. Really good game for the quarterback as well. Let's go over to the Utah side of football. PFF alum Dorian Singer at an 81.5. We interviewed him actually when he was a part of USC a year ago. Really cool guy. Spencer Fano at 80. Jonathan Hall at a 78.8. Caleb Lomu at a 72. Jaron Kump, at 71.3. And Isaac Wilson, rough one for the true freshman at a 54.4. Dawn, for you, what was the stat that told the story in this upset victory for the Arizona Wildcats?
Well, it might sound bad, but it's actually really good. Tetero McMillan only had 50 receiving yards in this game. And guys like Keon Burnett and Devin Hyatt and Quali Conley in the run game stepping up. This was the question. It's actually the reason that I couldn't work it up on top of being at Utah. Just Utah is only their second home loss since the start of 2021, which is wild. But the reason I just couldn't stomach picking Arizona in the preview was I needed to see,
balls.
Well, maybe it might be that too. I had enough to pick Colorado. Okay?
You did. You did.
Look, I needed to see other guys step up. This offense could not just be Tetero McMillan and Noah Fafita willing this team to the end zone. It just was not going to continue to work. And to their credit, the other guys came through, right? And you saw big plays, and I'm just going to tie it right into my most impressive. Noah Fafita.
Dude, he's awesome.
83 passing grade, 3 big-time throws, and an 85.2 passing grade under pressure. His ability to make plays, and he prefers to throw, but there was a couple of times where he took off and ran too and got positive yards. His ability to stay in positive situations, make plays. One turnover-worthy play yesterday, but in general doesn't put the ball in danger. Noah Fafita and his ability to distribute the ball. That was what was so impressive about him to start when he first came in last year under Jed Fish, and he was the backup. He didn't start the season, and it was efficient, it was accurate, it was distributing the football. McMillan's great, and McMillan obviously needs 15 targets a game. You have to, right? You just have to. He's maybe the best receiver in the country. But this team is going to live and die as they get more balanced. And the defense played well also, but just this was a team effort. And much like Colorado, I needed to see a team effort from Arizona before I could start going, okay, now I feel really good about this. Yeah. This is not just the fact that they won, which is big enough. Winning at Utah is big enough.
One home loss since 2021, right? Before this?
Yeah, only Bo Nix and Oregon last year.
Yeah.
Well, that was the only team in the last 3.5 years that's beat them at home other than last night. This was one where you sit back and how about, was it the drive that put the game at 23-10?
Those two throws back to back.
Those two throws back to back. The first one to Hyatt and the second one to Burnett.
Yeah. That's
as good as it gets. And there was actually a throw, right before that to McMillan that McMillan just couldn't haul in with one hand. I mean, Fafita was spectacular on the road in that environment against that defense. I don't think there's enough that can be said about him and just the team effort that Arizona found to win this game. And again, the K-State loss, much like I talked about Louisville with Notre Dame, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's weird that it was non-conference, but it was, and we might think about it in the hierarchy, and K-State's not a good matchup for them.
No.
Luckily,
not at all.
They wouldn't play them again unless it's in the Big 12 title game. So, and K-State themselves, they have a conference loss. Yes, they lost
Yeah.
to BYU. They already have a conference loss. So they're behind the 8 ball, and Arizona isn't, even though they won head-to-head. So Arizona, this is the biggest win they've had in a long time. It's such a big win, and to get it in the fashion they did with McMillan only having 50 receiving yards and only needing that to win the game, huge. We see more of this team effort from Arizona. They're one of the contenders. Of those 4 or 5 teams that can win the Big 12 to me, they're absolutely one of them.
Absolutely.
And we picked them both preseason.
Us and not only us, but Trevor Sycamore and Mitch Kaiser also picked them to win preseason. I mean, I'm not trying to give us too much credit because it's a long season for the Big 12, but I haven't seen anyone else pick them to win the Big 12 this year.
I don't think
so. We're out on a limb.
It was
with
a lot
Arizona.
of K-State, Utah, Oklahoma State was most of the picks that I saw outside.
We're out on a limb still with Arizona this year. But my stat story: Utah averaged 3.9 yards per carry, 1 yard before contact per attempt, 2.9 yards after contact per attempt. Mekhi Bernard held to under 100 yards rushing. Isaac Wilson only 7 yards rushing. And Dalton, we said this in the preview, Arizona's run D hasn't been great this year. But the issue is they played 2 teams in Devin Dampierre and New Mexico, and then obviously the Kansas State game and Avery Johnson. 2 teams that have quarterbacks that can run the hell out of that football. And when you have that, you've got to play side to side as linebackers. These linebackers, I mean, you noticed yesterday, they have massive linebackers. So laterally, they're not great. But with Utah, who's just going to straight up hand the ball off, that is just a very advantageous spot for Arizona to be in. And those linebackers were able to scream downhill instead of playing side to side with the threat of quarterback run, and they delivered. So I understand that the run defense for them hasn't been great all year, but you got to look at the context behind that and the styles of play that the teams they played have. And Avery Johnson and Devin Dampierre, those are really good rushing threats. That really was a difference, I think, in this one, is that they held that Utah run game because, all we got to worry about is Mekhi Bernard. All we got to worry about is just going straight downhill and stopping that guy. We don't got to worry about going sideline to sideline with the quarterback either. So that, I think, was a difference in this one, and that was why when I picked Arizona, I thought, even if Cam Rising plays, I still feel good about this run D playing better than they played all year, even though Utah's got a really good offensive line, because I think just go right downhill and you're able to stop them, and they did that in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's big time, and you're right about the style, and if they get to play that sort of style. And then again, same thing. Most of the days that Arizona makes it about our quarterback versus yours, they have an advantage. Noah Fafita, I think he's one of the 10 best quarterbacks in the country.
Yeah,
somewhere there, borderline top 10 quarterback, and he's so efficient, and he's so good under pressure, and he's so good on the move, and even within the pocket. That's what happened here. Is actually Arizona. It was surprising to see that they came out of this game as really the more efficient run game. It was impressive.
Oh, yeah. And speaking of, so I just want to go into it because you covered it already with yours, but my most impressive was supporting cast, and I'll go into a couple other guys you didn't mention. Kean Burnett, 5 catches and 6 targets for 76 yards and a touchdown, 90.8 receiving grade, 2 for 2 on contested catches. So he was really the best weapon for Nova Fida in this one, outside of, or even more than so than Tetra McMillan in this one. Quali Conley, 14 carries, 72 yards, and Kedrick Riscano, 7 carries for 73 yards.
That's a big one because
he was awesome.
You lost Krosky Merritt to whatever eligibility issues that was.
Yep.
If they can get a second back in there with that, along with Conley, that's a big development because that's what it was supposed to be with Krosky Merritt.
Yeah, so Arizona, really, they answered the 2 biggest questions for us entering it in our preview was, can the run D play a lot better, and can they find something outside of Tetra McMillan? And they did both of those things, and that's why they're ultimately able to beat Utah on this one, 23-10 final score. Also, I want to, just for Utah fans, I will say Isaac Wilson's clearly not the guy for them right now. He's a true freshman. Give him time. He's probably going to be the guy next year. When they get Cam Rising back, they're going to be a lot better than this. Because what Isaac Wilson's shown as a passer through his first 3 starts hasn't been great.
He's a young kid.
Yeah. Like, give him time. He's going to be all right. But even so, like when Cam Rising gets back, this passing game will be a lot better. And they've still competed with Arizona, even with Isaac Wilson. So I still think Utah's going to have a really good team by the end of the year, too. So I'm not selling any stock on Utah just yet, even though Utah fans have really angered me over the last few days with how much they're commenting. It's whatever.
It'll be all right.
We're actually, I've got some good relationship with Utah, Utah people, so they're cool.